So a few weeks back, I purchased this 14-inch IdeaPad 5 off of Amazon to give it a try and talk about it on the channel. As you can see, this is the Ryzen 7 4700U version of this laptop. It has 8 gigs of storage and exact specs, and everything will be in the description. I'll have Amazon links there. Now, I went into this expecting to have a very similar experience to something like the Flex 5 I looked at on the channel back in June. Mostly because this laptop's basically the same design, just, different hinge, different kind of lid, and, it's not a 2-in-1, it's a traditional style laptop. I was expecting a very similar experience, but in reality, my experience has been a bit more negative than I initially imagined I would have. And one of the problems with this particular laptop, most notably, is the screen. Again, this is very similar to the Flex 5. I mean, it's got some benefits, like the power button's the fingerprint reader now instead of it being here, so you can just touch that. And, well, didn't work that time. I think I used the wrong finger. Hold on. Yeah, so with the right finger, it signs in pretty much immediately. So the fingerprint sensor is quite nice. Keyboard, basically the same experience as the Flex 5. Touchpad, same thing. Polymer material, similar. This is not as grippy. It's more of like a rougher finish, which I actually prefer. This does come in a black finish, by the way. You don't have to have this clashing gray if you don't want it. I didn't know that at the time, and I think it's a new listing even, so maybe I'll link both in description. I don't know. But specifically, we need to talk about the screen. This laptop has what's referred to as a TN panel. TN LCDs basically have worse viewing angles, but outside of just worse viewing angles, often they have worse color reproduction, and color can just look worse on them. I don't know what's going on with my camera right now. It's kind of freaking out. But yeah, basically the screen has really poor viewing angles, and you can kind of see that already. I mean, let me go back to the desktop here. So this is the desktop, and normally on a laptop, if I'm filming it, you'll still be able to see this image clearly. You can hardly tell there's icons here, and I'll push this open, and you can see they come back, and then they kind of get dark and go away. Now, when you're in a fixed perspective like this, it's kind of hard to tell how bad the screen is, but when you're trying to read text on the screen, this can get quite frustrating because, you go down, text gets harder to see because it loses its contrast. Now it's clear, and then it will start blending into the background, looking weird. You can see kind of JPEG artifacting gets clearer because the contrast gets all funky. That's basically one of the downsides of TN. This TN panel is, one of the worst that I've personally ever used. Essentially, this panel is terrible, and that's why I can't tell you to buy specifically this laptop off Amazon. If you're okay with a really bad screen, then otherwise this laptop, I mean, if you look at my other Flex 5 coverage, basically the same type of performance there, same quirks, same issues. Hinge Design is still quite poor. It's actually a little bit worse here. I don't know if you saw that, but if you watch this corner of the screen here, I'll just zoom in, you can just be able to see it here. You can see it pulse like that. That's from the panel getting squeezed when I move this move the lid here. Now you don't want to see this, and especially this chassis flex that you're seeing here by the power right there. That's not super confidence inspiring. But even a slight tap on the screen. I'm not even moving it. I'm just flicking the top of it. You can see that ripple effect across most of the length of the laptop. Let me go like this angle here. You'll be able to see it still, right there. Move the laptop, turn the camera, and even on this corner still you can see that same effect, the pulsing effect of the panel getting squeezed when you move the lid around, and that's not ideal. It's not good for LCD longevity, among other things. So again, panel pretty bad, screen meh. Interestingly, this has an aluminum lid. It's a nice, premium feeling aluminum lid, just kind of standard IdeaPad metal. But the hinges are not really part of this metal, which contributes to kind of just the weird flexing behavior that goes on and messes the screen up. And basically the hinge mounts are glued like the Flex, even though it's metal completely. So don't think that metal means that the hinge mounts are going to be good. I forgot to mention that the hinge on the IdeaPad 5 is not really ideal because, you've got a traditional laptop here, and, naturally you're going to want to put it into certain positions when you're using it. Maybe you want like a bit of a steeper, you might open the screen up and you're sitting down with the laptop in your lap and you want to look at it. And, that might be okay with like a normal, monitor, an IPS panel. But when you're dealing with a TN panel, and I'll zoom in a bit so you can see the screen a little clearer, and looks okay, but like if you tip your legs a little, then you can see it gets darker. I mean, if this is a little more closed, you see it gets brighter and harder to see. I mean, this hinge does not go far enough back for me personally. I think it's a bit inadequate. I don't think it's enough to really accommodate for this poor panel. It doesn't come off as clear in video how awful this angle is for use in like a lap or something. It really doesn't help get the point across, unfortunately, which is a shame. But that's just, I'm trying to, let you know that I'm not a fan of that either. I think that's another shortcoming this device has, and I forgot it while I was recording. Basically, yeah, the hinge is just not super amazing. It's also kind of in the way of the vents, so that doesn't really help the cooling system at all. And it does make it slightly worse than the Flex 5, but at the end of the day, I mean, you can only really do so much. And if you just got one with an IPS panel, I mean, it'd be tolerable, but again, hinge concerns and panel and whatnot. Like you've probably already seen it. Also, for you guys that care about that, doesn't open with one hand. Those are the main issues I've really ran into while using this. Some people have run into an issue with the IdeaPad 5 where it makes like a horrible sound once you finish like playing a game or something. I have not had that experience. I have not been able to reproduce it. So maybe it was like a really early run issue or something. But I haven't been able to run into that issue. I'll have some links to that in the description, maybe pinned comment as well. And yeah, in general, I'm just going to be returning this thing because I don't have much to say on it, and I don't really like it. I would have probably held on to it because I paid for this out of my own pocket, and I like to hold on to stuff that I like just so I can test it for longer and let you know if I run into problems. But this thing kind of exhibits a lot of issues that I'm not super fond of. I mean, notably, I think some of the ports are different. Like, I think you can get a video out of the USB-C there. Like, it has a DP alt mode. I think we discussed that in some Flex 5 video where I was like, well, the IdeaPad 5 might be a little better. So, besides the panel being bad, hinges are still a concern. It still has the Flex 5 quirks with the software. The panel might even get damaged over time from the lid design, as you can see by the weird rippling that happens when I do this. And I know outside of that, I haven't had any issues with it. If that's all you really care about, then yeah, I mean, if you think that's not an issue, then go ahead and buy it. Links in the description. I won't stop you, and your purchase supports the channel. I would advise you don't because of aforementioned issues. Teardown is very similar to the Flex 5, so I won't be doing that. All you can really do is add a 2242 SSD, which is weird. I'll have some pictures of that in the Discord if you want to see that. Join the Discord, by the way. But yeah, that's all I really have to say about this laptop. It's going to be a short video today, but that's kind of what I expected going into covering this thing. If you guys really want to see any testing, please let me know in the comments. And be like, please do a live stream, because I'll do a live stream tomorrow before I go and return this and just do some testing for you guys on camera. But if there's not enough interest, I'll just return it because, these things aren't going away. And if there's enough demand for it later, I can just get another one. So I'm not super concerned about it. I am going to be covering that 14-inch XMG laptop soon. That'll probably get here late November to December, so it'll be a while still. So stay tuned for that. I'm planning on covering the Surface Laptop Go with the money I get after returning this thing. And that'll be interesting. I know some of you guys probably are interested in the Surfaces. We'll be talking about VR soon. And yeah, whatever else comes out. I know the Swift 3X got announced with their Intel Xe Max graphics or whatever, and I'll probably buy that in December, and we can we'll put that up against whatever I have on hand at the time. But yeah, be sure to get subscribed and check out Patreon. channel memberships, whatever you want, if you want to support the channel directly. And as always, I hope this video was helpful.